This is the snail mucin video. It's here. It's finally here.
We've talked about snail mucin. We've actually talked about making a video for years, and this just happened to be one of the top comments on repeated recent videos. Snail mucin is back, and it never left.
Snail mucin is actually trending. I know a lot of people say things are viral. This thing is crazy viral right now. We actually looked at the trends. This thing has been on the uptick over the past few years, and it's really peaking right now. So we have to talk about it. Now, if I'm being 100% honest, when I heard that people were putting snail mucin on their face, I almost thought it was a joke. I used it essentially as the opposite of retinol. I was like, well, retinol has been studied forever, and like, I mean, you could use snail mucin, but there is some really interesting data on snail mucin. We're gonna jump into it. We're gonna talk about what the heck is snail mucin? How do they even get the mucin of a snail in the first place? How do you even extract this thing? Then we're gonna talk about the benefits, maybe some of the risks, how to use it, and then if we like it, we'll talk about some of our favorite products.
All right, all things snail mucin. Here we go.
Here we go. Snail mucin. What the heck is in this slime?
This ingredient actually is made of lots of smaller sub-ingredients that give it this overall function. And although there's a lot of variability online, maybe due to the different types of snails, there are some consistent things. You have polyphenols, polysaccharides, glycolic acid, allantoin, and glycosaminoglycans, which may be the heart of this whole matter.
So what is a glycosaminoglycan? When you look at the dermis layer of the skin, in between your collagen bundles, you have these glycosaminoglycans that make up the ground substance of the skin. One of those glycosaminoglycans is something called hyaluronic acid. Many people are familiar with this. There's another type of sulfated glycosaminoglycan called heparan sulfate. Now, what they've isolated from snail mucin is a glycosaminoglycan that's never been isolated or found before. It's very similar to heparan sulfate, but it's slightly different. And because of this, it has high hydrogen binding capacity. It gives the ability to hydrate the skin. It has all these ingredients in it. And I don't know that the glycolic acid concentration is enough to cause an exfoliating benefit. But that being said, how the heck do we even get this from the snails?
Thankfully, this has evolved over time. So historically, this ingredient goes way back. Like, you will find different sources saying different things, hundreds to thousands. Like, there was one article, this was actually from the Masterclass, if you've ever heard of such a thing, but they were stating that this goes back to Hippocrates, the father of all medicine. And even he was using snail mucin for its benefits that we're using for it now. So this goes way back. But they would use some form of stressor.
Right, so they would basically torture the snails to get the mucin out of them. Nowadays, there are cruelty-free methods. Now, most of the type of snail mucin that you're gonna see are from South Korea, which has very strict cruelty-free rules in the country. So they're not really testing these things on animals. They're not torturing the animals. They're trying to extract mucin in a way that's cruelty-free. So what most of the brands are doing, they're putting these snails in very dark, cool, calm environments. They let them walk around on their feet. And they have feet, it turns out. Then they excrete that snail mucin and they collect the snail mucin for your use in the skin. And then they go through some type of sterilization process afterwards. They don't want to actually scare it. They don't want to harm it. And in fact, what they found is that if you are harming these snails or scaring these snails, what ends up happening is that the quality of the mucin actually goes down. Now, whether or not you think this is ethical or not, they try to do this in a way that doesn't harm the snails nowadays.
If nothing else, it's certainly a big improvement. Is this the right ingredient for you? That's obviously up to you. Here's why people might want to use this, and here's why I believe it's had a lot of staying power. I was thinking about this while we were shooting. I equate snail mucin to LED masks. Like, how? There's nothing similar at all about these. There is. LED masks look outrageous. They are vivid, they're colorful, you look like a robot. Snail mucin is, like, the first time I saw one of these videos, my initial response was the same thing. It's like, this is ridiculous. What a shock value gimmick. But when you look at the data, there are reasons you could use this product, and there are reasons that it can be beneficial for your skin. So what are the benefits?
So it has all these like insane benefits that you wouldn't expect. And not just that, I'm gonna take it one step further. It may be one of the greatest ingredients of all time. I'm gonna scale back a little bit.
That's pretty strong.
No, that was very strong.
That's a little strong. But during this whole adventure that goes on behind the scenes, Dr. Shah is like, man, I've influenced myself. I need to be using this ingredient.
So the benefits, right? We look at all these ingredients. We say, okay, this is a good portfolio of ingredients. Maybe it's beneficial. Turns out that they've done a tremendous amount of studies on snail mucin. More studies than I like to read to prepare for a video, to be honest, but maybe hundreds, maybe less, but just a lot of studies out there. And I'm like not sure who's doing these studies because it doesn't look like they're sponsored by any of the companies that sell snail mucin. So I've seen ones done at academic centers. I've seen multi-study ones, split face ones against placebo. There are a lot of studies out there. And they've actually shown quite a bit of different clinical benefits to the skin. They've looked at photo aging. They've shown an improvement in wrinkles. They've shown an improvement in both subjective and objective measures of anti-aging. They've also looked at hydration of the skin. Of course, it has these glycosaminoglycans in them that are expected to be hydrating, but they've shown a tremendous decrease in transepidermal water loss. Again, they've also shown post-procedurally, which I think is super interesting. We always talk about like, okay, what if you get a CO2 laser done or you get microneedling done, what should you put on your skin afterwards? It's actually been shown if you apply snail mucin, at least 40% concentrate after a procedure, that it actually speeds up the wound healing, increases angiogenesis, which is your blood vessel formation to increase wound healing. It has these incredible benefits.
That's a long list of positives, but that's actually all there. And I think one of the interesting things is with the photo aging studies, because sometimes you just get like, oh, you know, the doctor looked at the skin and it looked better. This wasn't that. The study was that they took, I think it was 15 individuals, and they applied it for a period of time. Not only did they have objective metrics and then maybe computer programs that also analyze it, look at the improvement, but they biopsied it. And I don't think you can ask for more because you take the real world data, you see how it actually performed compared to the lab-based data that you thought it would do, and then you objectively measure, oh yeah, it did increase collagen synthesis and all these things. But if you're the volunteer for this study, where you're getting a biopsy on your face to confirm that snail mucin worked, what was your incentive? Like, you would have to really commit a lot to me for me to get a biopsy on my face to show you that snail mucin worked. I'll show you it works, but I won't get a biopsy to do it.
I'm pretty much impressed overall with all the work that they've done, plus the ingredients that are in them. So let's talk about maybe some of the downsides to snail mucin, if there are any downsides.
So there is an alleged downside, and this is one you'll find on Reddit more than anywhere else. It's this alleged cross-reactivity between snail mucin and dust mites. How clinically relevant is this? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm a strong believer in it, but here's the theory. We do have some data that shows that there's IgE, which is an antibody signaling molecule that's involved in your allergic arm of your immune system. There's some cross-reactivity between mollusks in general that snails are a part of, and then also dust mites. So if you're allergic to one, you may be allergic to the other. Now, the reason I'm a little bit hesitant about buying into this is because as dermatologists, we know that dust mite allergies is one of the most common, like cockroach dander, dust mite allergies. These are like competing for your top environmental allergens, especially with people with eczema. And I don't think when people have used snail mucin in the studies, I really don't feel like that's played out. Now, if you know that you're allergic to dust mites, maybe approach this ingredient with caution. But overall, that is the main downside. I guess aesthetically too, and we'll talk about that when we talk about how to use the product. This is a hit or miss ingredient aesthetically. Whether you love it or hate it, I think you'll have a strong opinion on it.
Definitely has its very specific texture to it. I would say probably allergic reaction would be the main risk of it, but it's low overall. Like, it could potentially cause allergy in some people, but it's not like a super high risk of allergy. How to use snail mucin. We're going to demonstrate it for you. It's not really something that needs to be demonstrated. You'd essentially use it exactly like you would use your hyaluronic acid in your skincare routine. You apply it, you can do it twice a day. Again, this thing has tremendous, I don't know if we can capture this on camera, but it's stickiness, hydrogen binding capacity. I don't know if that's what's causing this. Fake it, dab, 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 apply to the face. And that's pretty much how you would apply it. Now, it does have, now when we're talking about texture, a little bit of a mucousy texture, as you might suspect. I personally like it. I think it gives you a really nice, dewy, hydrated finish, and it lasts quite long. It's not a lot like a lot of other products that basically evaporate very, very quickly. I feel like it has a little bit of staying power. And to me, it's not sticky after it's applied.
Yes, this is true. I equate it similar to aloe. Again, I talk about this a lot, but I like cut up aloe plants, and they have a similar gelatinous quality to it. Now, you can formulate with this in a lot of different ways. Like Cosrx has these 96 mucin power, 92. These are just concentrations. You can get a lot lower concentration. But really, depending on how you formulate this, you can make that texture much more aesthetically appealing if it bothers you. And interestingly, Dr. Shaw mentioned that, yes, you can put it on early in your skincare routine like a hyaluronic acid. If you buy it in a heavier cream, you can apply it later like a moisturizer, because this will have both those hygroscopic humectant properties of your HA or it can have the hydrating, healing properties of a moisturizer. So I think your vehicle may determine where you end up using this, but it plays well with pretty much anything. I have no reservations with you using this anywhere in your skincare routine. Now, you may not have noticed, I just used the essence and the cream. And now watch this, watch this. Here comes Vaseline. And I thought of this, if you noticed I was smiling really big while he was talking, I had this really good idea.
You're gonna slug.
I slugged the slug, the ultimate slug.
That was good. That was unexpected turn of events. Okay, I'll give you that. Yes, you could potentially slug over the slug. I approve of this. All right, so let's talk about some of our favorite products. I don't have a tremendous amount of products that I've tried in the Snail Mucin category outside of the Power Essence from CosRX. That's the 96% filtrate that he catapulted onto the ground earlier. But that's the product that I have the most experience with. It's a very high concentration of the Snail Mucin. It's fragrance free, so it's going to be probably one of the best and safest options that you can use for the skin. And because the concentration is so high, this is also something that you could definitely use post-procedurally after you get a treatment like microneedling and laser therapy.
Interestingly too, some of the studies do have it down to like an 8% extraction of the Snail Mucin. So you don't have to have that 90+%, but I do think you will see increasing benefits as concentration goes up. That's purely anecdote, so if that turns out not to be true, just deal with it. But I've also tried some of the Ionic products. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. I have the cream here, their Restore cream, and this is what I was talking about. So this was a 58% concentration, also has centella in it. Try this one. It's a completely different textural feel. This is a kind of a flexible ingredient, actually. If you didn't know.
It still has that, like...
I don't know.
Look.
That's just your arm hairs there.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Proving it live right now. It does the exact same thing.
But to a much lesser extent. I really like this lightweight cream.
What I will say about some of the claims with Snail Mucin, and this is not a hit on Snail Mucin itself, but it's the claims that some of the brands are making, that it can improve scars. Maybe. I just don't know that I would make that claim for Snail Mucin.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I think that's a very delicate claim because even with ingredients with some studies like onion extract, we've had this great debate. Even then we're critical. Can it heal scars? Even your retinoid, can it heal your scar? Because you get to structural scars and there's a point where topicals aren't going to do anything. I agree. I wouldn't go that far with this. I would say maybe it could help prevent scarring after a wound.
Just hydration alone could probably help. There's some collagen building properties of this, so maybe reduce the appearance, but I wouldn't expect this to be a scar treatment.
Whatever product you decide to go with, you can tailor it towards your skin, your goals. Is this the right ingredient for you? Only you can decide. But we have given you some information, so hopefully that can help you objectively make up your mind and be deliberate with this ingredient.
What do we think about Snail Mucin overall? Dr. Maxfield, try at your own discretion. I think it actually has a decent amount of data to suggest that it's probably going to be beneficial for a lot of people. And there's always emerging ingredients that get hyped up, and I'm always skeptical of them. I always say just stick with your retinols, stick with the things that actually work. This is something where, well, time will tell, but this is something that actually has a decent amount of data. So if you're looking to try to incorporate new products into your routine, I think Snail Mucin is a decent option. The last thing I'll say though, like our intro video, would probably avoid putting like a live snail on the face because these aren't things that are sterilized afterwards, and there's probably a higher risk of some type of contamination from a live snail.
Like schistosomiasis.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll put some links below of different Snail Mucin products that we've tried and liked. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.
We'll see you next time. It's been studied for anti-aging, and the studies have been both clinical, where you look, there's like a trash truck outside. So if you could hear it, I'm sorry. But the studies, I really like this lightweight cream. Now there's one I always like to show in my videos, but it's locked behind us in a closet. And it took us a long time to get set up today, so we're not gonna get that out.
The last thing I'll say with Snail Mucin, I can't remember what I was gonna say.
Again? You got all the way there.
Maybe I'll say to you so I can remember what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, don't put the snails on your face though. That was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.